our members oftentimes remember the other person like on a higher level, on a higher consciousness level. Like, oh yeah, we've had lifetimes together. You're my old buddy. Like, I freaking love you already. I remember you. Like, it's just one of those things that just happens. And sometimes people need to practice a little bit too. Like, if they've been divorced and they haven't dated in a long time or however long, sometimes just getting the energy moving and going on some dates with some people locally, even if you don't feel that wowza, just get out there and practice and paying attention to the signs and the synchronicities. Synchronicities, when you find the right person, they just happen like crazy. It's just one synchronicity after another. It's like the universe is rolling out the red carpet for you and that person to help you along and make sure everything works and goes smoothly.
Welcome to The Vibrant Couple. Today I have invited Jill Crosby. This is part 3 of the interview. In part 1, we talked about how more and more people are disenchanted with dating apps and why spiritual dating works. In part 2, we talked about how to make long distance work. We talked about how when you know, but it takes a lot of spiritual practice to get to that point. So, how is dating a spiritual practice?
Great, beautiful question. Yeah. And it absolutely can be when we choose it to be and we incorporate our spiritual techniques, really. Like, even before logging into, say, spiritualsingles.com, before logging in, I like to coach people to take a minute, and like take a breath, center themselves, and just focus on the intention and what they are manifesting. Because if you just go on the site and randomly look around and you go fast or whatever, without that conscious intention, again, it's slowing down, which is kind of our theme of these 3 interviews. So taking that breath, focusing in, I like to say, like, imagine the person that you're going to be with and imagine what you would be doing together. Maybe you're going on hikes. Maybe you're cooking dinner in the kitchen. Maybe you're dancing in the kitchen while you're cooking dinner. Maybe you're whatever, your life, whatever's in your life. You do yoga together. You maybe even work together. Some couples that come together end up creating businesses together, opening retreat centers, all kinds of things. They do exponentially greater things than what they would do by themselves. I'm noticing through my interviews. So, slowing down, breathing, and then when one is using the site. So all of this is actually before the dating happens, right? So we can say, is dating a spiritual practice? And it all is part of dating, because first you have to meet who you're going to date, right? So if you have that consciousness coming in before you're even using the site with that solid intention, then it's going to make everything a lot more efficient. And when you visualize and imagine your life together, and I'm sure you know this probably just as well, is we have to energize that vision with emotions. So thoughts are one thing. Oh, I'm so grateful I've met my soul aligned partner and our life is so wonderful. I mean, you could think that, you could say that, but then if you can energize that with the feelings behind it, of imagining yourselves in the kitchen. And for me, I would imagine him like behind me with his arms around me. And maybe we're dancing a little and chopping some veggies and laughing and joking around and teasing each other and just having that visceral, and those feelings come up and that gratitude comes up, and it's real. Like joy, of Joy and Gavin, when I was interviewing them, she would have conversations with Gavin. She didn't know his name at the time, but she was even telling him, I'm almost ready. I'm almost ready.
But I remember distinctly in February, like feeling that presence and saying, honey, I'm almost ready. I'm almost ready.
Uh,
Thank you for waiting.
and she would be talking to him as if like she could be making dinner by herself and she'd be having a conversation with her guy who she married. And
Practicing receiving before I met Gavin.
uh,
So the energetic level, I would talk to him, I would talk to my partner, and I would just relax, and I would just like be more in a receptive kind of frequency, which it's easy to tap into if we want, and I wanted it.
so it's all about having the right attitude and energy before even getting on the site, using the site. Then when you're on it, looking at profiles, pay attention, like ask your guides or your higher self or whoever you work with, ask for guidance, ask for a nudge, ask for it to be obvious of who you should contact, and then also putting that signal out that they might find you first. So either way, but that you'll know. And so I think that's as a base starting is really important.
I love it. And so slowing down, this person is out there, you're already talking with them.
Mhm.
You energize by basically feeling it versus not just thinking it.
Mhm.
And it also feels that, as you know, I'm assuming very few people meet their beloved the first time they join the site. So
Yeah.
as you keep being on the site, you somehow visualizing love and joy and creating that in your life, becoming the partner you want to be.
Right, right. Working on ourselves and really, that's a really good point of when we love ourselves and accept ourselves and see ourselves as somebody worthy of a phenomenal, life-changing relationship, then that's what we'll draw that to us. We'll draw someone else that feels the same way of being worthy and ready for that life-changing relationship. And, once you start meeting and dating, then it's important to stay in that same energy of paying attention and listening to your inner guidance as you're talking on the phone. And if they live close, get on a physical date pretty quickly, as long as you have screened well enough that you're not wasting your time. And sometimes people need to practice a little bit too. Like if they've been divorced and they haven't dated in a long time or however long, sometimes just getting the energy moving and going on some dates with some people locally, even if you don't feel that wowza, just get out there and practice. And like you said, chemistry, I believe too, chemistry comes in all shapes and sizes. And it's about how you feel about that person and how that person makes you feel. Like, how do you feel when you're with that person? And if they make you laugh and there's certain things that just can be so sexy and attractive, even if they're not traditionally maybe your type or traditionally attractive. That doesn't necessarily matter when you're looking at somebody's soul and their heart. Our members oftentimes remember the other person like on a higher level, on a higher consciousness level. Like, oh yeah, we've had lifetimes together. You're my old buddy. Like I freaking love you already. I remember you. Like it's just one of those things that just happens. And I think paying attention to that and paying attention to the signs and the synchronicities when you find the right person, they just happen like crazy. It's just one synchronicity after another. It's like the universe is rolling out the red carpet for you and that person to help you along and make sure everything works and goes smoothly.
It seems that you somehow intentionally create some opening, your partner may not look the way you imagine they looked. They may not live where you imagine they lived. They may not have the same, religious beliefs, but there is a commonality that this is about spiritual growth.
Right, right. Yeah, and we are open to all religions. However, it's pretty rare that you actually see people on the site that are real religious because we just don't attract Catholics. If you see someone Catholic on the site, it's pretty rare. Most people are some form of spiritual path or maybe Eastern religion, because that's more along the spirituality, broad stroke, whatever you want to call it, category. But I think just having those base commonalities, you have to have enough in common, and you really need to respect each other. I find that that's super important. All the people I've interviewed, there was this deep level of respect for each other, and humor, and just being able to talk for hours on the phone is a really good sign that you're going to get along in person.
Please tell us about 2 or 3, and I'm going to link them at the end of this video for people to see those stories should they want to.
Okay. Well, John and Annie are coming into my mind right now. They are an older couple. I think they were in their late 60s, early 70s when they met. This is so wild because John, when he was a younger man, was in like the Merchant Marines or whatever is there. And he was on a boat, and he said he would have like the night watch, and he would listen to PBS on the radio or something. And he would hear this woman's voice, and he was just like enamored by her voice. And 65 years later, it's going to make me cry. It's like, oh my God, he meets her on my site and they figure this out.
That's so beautiful. So he was listening to the sirens.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean.
Well, I'll give you one quick one, which is a really, really big one, Jill. When I was a young officer in the Merchant Navy, we were patrolling the Mozambique Channel. I used to have to listen to the weather forecast because I was a deck officer. And as soon as the captain was away from the bridge, I would change the frequency and listen to the BBC World Service. And I used to hear this young woman delivering this. It was a travel program. And me being the ultimate romantic, I used to think, oh, she sounds so nice. Oh, I'd love to meet her one day. 60 years later, or 50 years later,
my first job at the BBC was working for World Service for this program.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh, that's it. Well, talk about manifesting, right? You put it out there a long time ago, and it finally came to be. And I'm so happy that you met on Spiritual Singles. That makes me tickled because it was going to happen, but I'm glad that it happened through Spiritual Singles. And they're both into Course in Miracles. Like they study it, they teach it like individually. I mean, they're both really into it. So they had this huge commonality. And then when they found out that she was the voice that he was listening to 65 years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, amazing.
That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. So please give us another example. And your tears are welcome here.
I know, it touches me every time, like things like that. And the most recent one I interviewed, which was pretty cool, they were living, again, separate locations. So she was in New York and he was in Michigan. They both had kids. They had a couple of Skype dates that went really well. But get this, because we talked about this in the second interview, they both said, nah, distance, kids, too much. And they didn't follow through. And they both ended up meeting different people from the site and started dating these other people. But then circumstance had it where their paths crossed again, and they were both single then. And he reached out to her when he was single again. It's a long story that they tell, a lot of intricacies, but bottom line is he reaches out again later when she's living in Colorado, because he was going to do a lecture in Colorado near where she was. And this time they were both single, and they met like after his lecture. It was like 3,000 people in the lecture, and they met for dinner afterwards. And they realized, they talked, and they're like both single now. And he was just like, all right, it's on, like, this is it.
I looked you up again.
And then is that okay?
Right.
Okay.
I wasn't with anybody, and
And I left my person in New York.
so I was coming
Okay.
out to Denver to speak at several museums. I looked her up, and then
Botanical,
I
okay.
invited Kara and Zazu to come and watch. Yeah. And so
But actually, it was just me when you were at the botanical.
right.
Right. Zazu did a sleepover, and then I remember how incredibly nervous I was in waiting for you, and I think you had an audience of a couple of thousand, something like that, and I was speaking to my best friend in California on the phone, and we were tittering with excitement.
Yeah,
But
so
that was our first night.
Yeah, then we
together.
had dinner, and we talked about that neither one of us were with anybody. We shared that, and then we were like, okay, then
Was it?
let's get together. Yeah,
Wow. And they just went hot and heavy from there, but they still had to commute. He came to Colorado from Michigan, off like every other week or every weekend or something like that for a couple months. And then they said it was just too hard. We had to move in together. And
That didn't last long. I think at that point we realized this is too painful being apart.
yeah. And then they end up getting the school bus. They're very environmentally conscious people. They get this old school bus that was going to be crushed, that was like perfectly working school bus. And they get it, and they end up converting it into their house. And then they travel around the US for a while, and they find the place where they're going to settle down. And they're living in a school bus in the high desert now, and happy as can be. And I mean, it's a beautiful story. It's really interesting. Their lifestyle is so alternative and so different from most people that it's really fun to see that they came together like that. Pretty cool. Oh, you guys are so cute. I just love it. Oh.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear, and it feels that they were not ready the first time. They had to go through a few life hoops, spiritual growth. And
Yes.
where else could they have met than spiritual singles?
Yeah, it's amazing. And then I don't know, Randy and Kim are just popping back in here, so I guess I go by guidance too. They seem prominent in my head right now. So but they were wild because Kim lived in Austin and Texas, and he lived in Boston. And he cast his net out wider and saw her, contacted. Actually, he just said, I'm interested in you. And then she sent him an email. She looked at his profile and went, yeah. And she got before they first met in person, like they would talk for hours. Like he would say, I would be outside the gym ready to go in, talking on the phone with Kim. 3-4 hours go by, and he's like, oh, well, I guess I'm not doing the gym anymore today. He spent so much time on the phone.
Yeah, it was strange. I remember I'd be driving to the gym to get a workout in, and then she'd call, and then I'd end up just driving around and around and around. And 2 hours later, I'd go, forget the gym, and I'd go home.
I swear, Jill, there were times when we'd look at the clock and we go, oh my God, we've been talking for 4 hours.
Wow.
I know. Right?
Yeah.
Like that, it didn't even feel like 4 hours. It was really something.
And then she said before they met in person, she was walking, I think, in the forest, and she got this knowingness. And I've heard this from several members that I've interviewed, several couples, that she felt, this is this man's going to ask me to marry him. I'm going to say yes. Like she felt it before they met. And her family thought she was crazy because she's like, I don't do this kind of thing. Like, this is not, she just went with her guidance and followed that intuition.
I knew the second conversation on the phone, that I even told my family, I said, this man's going to ask me to marry him and I'm going to say yes.
Oh my God.
I said second day. And my family was like, you're crazy. And they know me. I'm not like that, but I just knew I have this inner knowing. And sure enough, it was just like this family feeling that I had with him. And then when we were together, we were married and everything. And I woke up one morning and I swear I had this message come to me loud and clear. As long as you two are together, you will have everything. That's what the message said to me. And I feel like together we bring our angels together, and it's like this like they're just cheering us on,
Yeah. Wow. I get goosebumps when you're talking about that. That's just, yeah, amazing. And then she owns they both do now, but she owned a skincare business. It's all natural, all organic, called Cheeky Butter, and a little promo for them. And he was a marketer, and she needed to like take the company to the next level. And ended up, when they came together, he ended up coming in with the company too. And now they run and work the company together. And he's helped her take it to the next level.
So I was getting ready to leave Chicago anyway and look for something new. But then when I met Kim, she had been a massage therapist for 20 years, and she was still doing massage, but she had also started creating products for her clients and then started selling them a little bit to stores and things. And she was getting it off the ground. And I didn't know anything about it. So when I got to Austin, we had to, figure things out. And I started to learn more about her products. And she had been told by doctors not to do any more massage because she had really overworked her body, let's say. And so, anyway, so she was kind of using her products as an escape. That was her plan to exit massage anyway. So when I decided that I think we can do this together, that's when we fulfilled that together. So she stopped doing massage. We went to that business full time.
Yeah, we put our savings in and we made it happen, and we survived the pandemic. And it's amazing. It's a miracle, and we're doing pretty well now, so yeah.
Wow. And they work together, they live together, and they created separate floors in a house. So they each have their own space, and then they come together like, oh, wait, come on over to my floor. Love that too, because it's like, you don't have to go by traditional mainstream rules of even sleeping in the same bed necessarily. Like some couples like a little space, even for spiritual reasons sometimes. I think that's just a little side note that's kind of a cool thing, is to think on your own and create the kind of relationship that each person that works for that couple. That's pretty important too, I think.
So Jill, thank you so much for your wisdom and for your purpose and all the energy that you exude. So I'm going to post in the description below how to reach Spiritual Singles should you be inclined to join. And please keep up the good work.
Are you spiritual and single? Are you ready to meet your soul-aligned partner? I invite you to join SpiritualSingles.com. We have been helping singles become couples for the last 26 years. And it's free to join, so you have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So welcome in advance. Get on there now. Let's go.